force students to drop out of the exam. When I heard about the news that teachers at a junior high school in Nghe An and HCMC forced students not to take the 10th grade entrance exam, I felt like a needle was pricking my heart, reminding me of the time I fought together with my child against this unreasonable situation. Last year, my child finished junior high school and was preparing for the 10th grade entrance exam when, suddenly, an immense pressure began to weigh heavily on the whole family. The pressure did not come from homework or knowledge, not from the one-on-many competition in the entrance exam, but from the homeroom teacher. According to regulations, each 9th grade student, after being considered for graduation, has the right to register 3 aspirations in order of priority for public high school. If they are admitted to their first choice, they will not be considered for their second or third choice. Conversely, if they fail their first choice, they will be considered for their second choice with a score higher than the first choice's passing score of that school. The same goes for the final third choice. With such regulations, students will have to consider their academic ability, the distance from home to school, the level of reputation, the learning environment. Good and excellent students often register their first choice as top-notch public schools with high passing scores. So there are some heartbreaking cases. Many students are too confident and choose all 3 aspirations as schools with high passing scores, while their scores do not meet the requirements, and therefore fail the public schools, have to attend private schools with more expensive fees, or wait until next year to retake the exam. Based on this reality, combined with the task of career guidance, junior high schools, through homeroom teachers, will advise on school and aspiration choices for each student. In theory, this is the right support, accompanied by appropriate calculations in the context of increasingly competitive public 10th grade entrance exams. Private school tuition fees too high compared to the income of the majority of parents, while the system of vocational schools for students is still inadequate and lacking in synchronization and effectiveness. But in fact, many teachers have turned the good advice policy into a harsh imposition in many forms, interfering with students' right to access education. Teachers often apply the following measures at the same time with good students. Instead of encouraging them to register their first choice as their favorite schools, which they are likely to pass, and their second and third choices slightly lower, teachers require them to register all 3 choices as middle and weak schools, in order to ensure 100% public school admission. My son, belonging to this group, when he registered the draft, was returned by the teacher and asked to follow her advice to choose schools that were almost just take the exam and pass. When the family responded that they had carefully studied all aspects, taking into account subjective and objective factors, the teacher still did not agree and continued to put pressure on my son. On many days, my son and some other students in the same situation were met privately by the teacher to be persuaded. When my parents got tough, met the principal and demanded an end to the threats and pressures on students before the exam day, the principal just brushed it off, saying that this was the good intention of the teachers and the school. Everything was just a misunderstanding, and continued to persuade parents to follow the teacher's advice, because teachers have much more experience. The tension was such that on the official registration day, many parents came to register directly, to avoid the possibility that their children would be pressured by the teacher to change their minds at the last minute. They also had to sign a commitment They had been advised by the school but made their own decision and took full responsibility. My son, along with many of his classmates, finally passed their first choice into the city's high schools with high passing scores. With average students, the general tendency of schools is not to want these students to take the 10th grade entrance exam, because they are unlikely to pass. This group is under the most pressure. The gentle ones are encouraged to drop out of school, go to vocational school or apply to private schools. The more harsh ones are the ones who bring up the matter of junior high school graduation as a bargaining chip. If they agree, the school will let them graduate. If they are still stubborn and demand to take the exam, they may not be recognized. Finally, parents are forced to write a voluntary application to not take the 10th grade entrance exam, as at Nguyen Van Bua Junior High School, Hoc Morn, TPHCM. This situation happens every year. When the exam season comes, in one place or another, the education departments and principals, when asked by the press and authorities, will again